Welcome to the Q&A. I'm going to get to your questions and I'm going to do it on my phone. However, I'm not tech savvy when it comes to phones. I'm really bad. I'm horrible at texting. I send typos like crazy. Things will autocorrect and I won't even notice it. I've said some really crazy stuff unintentionally. I usually do things on my laptop, and if I call you on the phone, I'm usually calling you from my house phone. So here we go. All right, scrolling through. I'm just gonna sort of stop right there. Okay. Oh, okay. I believe your name is Tableau. Since you are a really opinionated person, where do you fall in the political compass? So if any of you have been on my live streams, you know that like major rule is we don't talk religion and we don't talk politics because it always brings discord. You'll always have disagreements and people always fight. But I will just put it this way, I did not vote for Trump. The Batman over 9,000 asked, does your husband ever engage in your interest in the subculture, like dressing in the cool outfits? He engages in our interest in the subculture because my husband is a goth as well. And we actually met at a goth club in England. So that's sort of our story. I've told it in another video, but I might just do a video completely devoted to it. Okay, so Lonely Bat starts it with, oh, and another question. I solemnly swear that I am not elitist though, but I do see so many people using the word goth just like how they breathe, like in every sentence, and I'm 100% sure they don't even listen to the music. It freaks me absolutely crazy that they, one, make such a big deal out of it, and two, they use the word without knowing what it actually means. Any idea how I can help that, or is it normal? Well, I know when people are new to the subculture. I remember myself being new, and I was, a young and probably 14, 15 years old. When you're just getting into the subculture, you are so enamored of it, you are so obsessive that goth just rules and engulfs every aspect of your life. You're just so enthusiastic about it that you're bursting at the seams. Goth this, goth that. Oh my god, my room's a gothic mess. I mean, you will just go ape shit on that word, but eventually it just sort of tapers off and then you come back to a normal kind of level and it goes away. But there are also people who become obsessive in a different sort of sense, and if you feel that they don't listen to the music, perhaps you should educate them. Show them some music. And maybe they might like it, and then if they do, they'll find that sort of level and calm the fuck down. Oh, my phone logged out. I forgot my code. There we go. The Sheelander asked, what is one of the strangest interactions you've had with a fan? Well, I met somebody who subscribes to my channel at a Velvet Acid Christ show, but I didn't know it at the time, and it was actually pretty funny. It happened really recently. I went to use the bathroom, and in the girls' bathroom there was 4 stalls, and the first one was occupied. There were 2 people in there. Don't know what they're doing. Not gonna ask. But there were 3 to the right of it, and the first 2 were freaking destroyed. I don't know what people did to those stalls. Didn't want to know, but there was no way in hell I was going in them. 4th one, the one in the end, it was decent, it was fine, it was usable. I went in, I used it, and now I'm headed toward the sink to wash my hands. Just as somebody is coming in, about to go through the whole process that I did of finding a stall that is not going to give them Hep C. So I said, as I was passing her, I said, don't even bother with those middle 2 stalls. They're utterly destroyed. The 4th one was okay. And she looked at me like she had just seen a ghost, or I had said something awful. I'm not entirely sure which, but I definitely could tell she was looking at me like something was wrong. And immediately in my head, I'm like, oh no, what did I say? I'm very socially awkward. I know it doesn't seem like it in videos, but in person, I have a very difficult time with awkward silences. Some people are okay with it, some people react normally, but I probably cringe a little bit more and have a little bit more of a fixation with awkward silences than most people, and will end up to fill those silences, say anything, like the first thing that comes to my mind, which is usually something messed up, and I hear myself doing it, I see myself doing it, I cannot stop myself. Another thing I can't do is I can't exit conversations. I'm really bad at it. I don't know how to be like, okay, well, I'm done talking to you, bye-bye. It's just really hard. Here I am, I'm like, oh, what did I say to this girl? I'm washing my hands and I'm trying to go over my head what I said, and I reach for my lipstick to just sort of touch up. And as I'm doing this, she comes out of the stall and she comes to use this thing next to me, and she's looking at me, and she said, I'm sorry, she said, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, is your name Angela Benedict? I said, yes. And then we started talking, and she was really super nice. And I felt so much better because, oh my God, I was so worried I said something messed up. But that was sort of the strangest that I've had. Was it? Yes. Strange based upon the fact that there was just a moment of I have no idea what I did or said. Because sometimes I don't have any idea what I'm doing or saying. Chili the Kid asked, do you think that goth is going to be over soon in this age? Like, where do you see goth going? Do you think that we can bring the 80s or 90s back, if you know what I mean? Is goth over? I think things are cyclical, and I think that there are a lot of fads, like emo. Emo is definitely a fad. I don't think that's ever going to be making a comeback. But as far as the goth scene, I think goth is a little bit different. And I think that it's embedded so much into our history that, like everything else, it's going to be cyclical and it's going to come back. And I think that's what it's doing now. Now, goth originally started underground, and I think that's where it is again. It's underground, and we just have to sort of bring it back out. But by underground, it's just sort of been sucked into the digital age. And it's important that we pull it back out into our reality, into, you know, the tangible world. And whether or not that happens really depends on us. And I think that there is a big resurgence in people, and just a lot of people in general, who are really interested in what the goth scene was and really being a part of that. Certainly, no, I don't think goth is over. Are there any non-goth bands or artists that you like? And this is from Eternally Pissed. There are, absolutely. Let's see, who do I listen to that are non-goth? Smashing Pumpkins, Mazzy Star. I like a lot of freestyle music. Freestyle music is sort of my guilty pleasure in life. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lisa and the Cult Jam, but I got to actually meet her long time ago in my late teens, early 20s. I used to work in Hollywood Video. It's a video store. And she used to come in, and she was obsessed with DVDs, but she was always buying movies. And I'm like, I know her. This has got to be Lisa. And she handed me her debit card, and of course there it said Lisa Productions, and I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, kind of fangirl moment. But yeah, so I am really into freestyle music. EXTT 2005 asked, what are your thoughts on Cholo Goth group Prayers? Have I heard Prayers? If I have, and I can't remember, that's not a good sign. I'm going to have to give it a listen, and I'll get back to you on that. Okay, TC Nicole, your opinion on racism or colorism in the goth community now and over the years. Okay, I've grown up in New York, so it's a little bit different. Seeing as I grew up in New York is a melting pot. And we have people from literally freaking every corner of the earth that you could possibly imagine. And in the goth scene, we have Black, biracial, we have white, we have Hispanic, we have Asian, we have Middle Eastern, we have Muslim. We have every color of the spectrum that you can possibly imagine. So in the goth scene, it never really struck me as odd to see, say, somebody who was black and a goth at the same time. So that I guess in reality, it doesn't really strike me as weird, but the only time I've really seen racism in the goth community has been recently and online. And what do I think of it? I think that it's stupid. I think racism in general is really stupid. The only problem I have is whether or not you're an asshole. Then obviously we're going to have some problems. Have you recently come across any bands or artists specifically in the goth scene probably you'd recommend listening to? I'm sure all of us wouldn't mind hearing new music. I know I've mentioned it before, but Drab Majesty is probably one of my new favorites. Them Are Us Too. Sadly, the vocalist Cash was killed, but that does not negate their music in any fashion. it's still fairly new music because as this recently happened, but really check them out. I'll put the links in the description. She has an incredible voice. She passed away. Kuta, which is a new project from Corpus Delicti. Roadside Memorial. They're really good. I know that I'm probably going to kick myself because I'm forgetting something. The Eden House. Eden House has already been around for a while, but Monica Richards is doing vocals for them, and I'm pro anything Monica Richards. So, off the top of my head, that's, those are my picks. Let's see. Kimmy Chameleon has asked, I'm not sure if you've already answered this question, but in one of your other Q&As, has being goth affected your work history in any way? Like, has it limited you in expressing yourself through the goth scene? Any regrets? Much love from Texas. No, not at all. I am, when I go to work, I kind of keep things really toned down, and since I work in skincare, the main focus is going to be on your skin, so I tend to, I don't normally crimp or tease or do anything crazy with my hair on a normal basis unless I'm really going out. But since I don't do that in my regular life, I don't really need to do much other than put my hair back or put it in braided pigtails or something, because when you're leaning over someone's face, so you're doing extractions, you don't want your hair getting in, what's coming out of their face. And I don't wear a lot of makeup there anyway, and I just kind of keep it simple, and I don't really find that being a goth has any bearing. Licorice Fish, question and answer, who is your least favorite goth YouTuber? Yeah. We're not gonna go there. How about this? You guess. Olivia is God. What is the most goth thing you have ever done? Oh, that's so weird. Okay, this is gonna sound horrible. I don't know if it's the most goth thing I've ever done or the most disgusting thing I've ever done, but I remember my friend Kevin was skateboarding. Well, a bunch of my friends were skateboarding in front of my house because a lot of people in the industrial scene back then, a lot of the guys were into the industrial music, so a lot of the industrial scene, they also skateboarded all the time. And they were skating in front of my house, and Kevin fell, and he had a big gash on his knee, and it was bleeding. It came into the house, and my mother was looking for a first aid kit or something to just put a band-aid on it or something, and the blood is dripping down his leg. I don't know what had come over me at that particular moment, but I took my finger, went straight up from his ankle, shin to knee, and I just licked the blood as it was dripping off of my finger. It was that much. I just went like that and then licked it. Tasted disgusting, but my mother's reaction, worth it. But I think that's probably one of the gothest things I've ever done. Music suggestions from Anime6113. Yes. Check my playlists. I have tons and tons of playlists that I've created in music, and I separated them into subgenres so you can kind of figure out which one fits you best. So hopefully you can find your niche from there, but definitely check that out. I had to cut for a second. I fell inside my couch. This thing swallows people. Okay. Mystical Catnip asked, what is the worst thing about the internet that you have experienced? There's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of people that really go around and bully others, whether it be in the goth scene, whether or not, but people get, I don't know what the internet term for beer balls is, but if you've ever heard of beer balls, it's when people get courage from drinking. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to the internet. People get courage from the internet. They think that they know absolutely anything and everything because so much is at their disposal, but they also use the fact that they're anonymous behind a screen and are completely untouchable, that they can just go and treat others any way that they want. And they've caused a lot of harm and detriment to other people. They've even caused people to become depressed, anxious, even suicidal, and it's not cool. Another thing that I noticed is negative in regards to the internet is it came to my attention that there was at least, well, I know more than one, but there was one in particular that used my channel to catfish somebody and create a different persona away from, I guess, as an escapism to married life, but used my channel, took my experiences, took all of my education advice that I really try to impart for the sake of really helping you along and even bringing about that nostalgia. But I'm doing all of this for positive reasons. But this person took all of those things, took them into themselves, copied the way that I look, the way that I dress, and pretended to be an elder goth. And just because she's older. Now, it's not age that makes you an elder. I guess it's like time invested, but she had only been really involved in the goth scene as long as she found my channel. But what she did was use it to take somebody who's now I consider a good friend, to take this person where he thought they were in a relationship, a long-term relationship, because they were together multiple years, thinking that they're in this relationship, when in actuality he was the other guy and she was married. So while she was gothing out when she was with him, she was leading this other life by going home, dressing very normal, and fucking making casseroles during the week. And it was just very bizarre. Okay, so this next question is super long. It is from Jonathan Robbins. And let's see. Wow, it's really long. Okay. Okay, Angela, I've got some beef with you. Winky face with the tongue out. So, I'm now officially in with the Salt Lake goth scene, and the more I've lived the lifestyle and gotten to know the people, the more I realize that the scene really isn't as cut and dry as you and a lot of the goth tubers have made it out to be. See, I had a house party recently, something I'm kind of infamous for nowadays among the SLC Gothlings crowd. And around 3 a.m., I had a heart-to-heart with a girl that's been part of the scene since the early 90s. I kept trying to talk about a lot of the goth things pertaining, I started trying to talk about a lot of the things pertaining to the idea of what goth should be and the people I knew, and kept being stopped and told that within the group, with the in-group, honestly, nobody really cares about the music, what they listen to, the clothes they wear, or even the history of the scene. People here care about the people, the hearts they have, the attitude we share, and the love of the macabre. And that's honestly it. Now, I don't want to start shit, but I feel as though this somewhat contradicts what you stand for and have been talking about this whole time. Now, maybe it's different in Utah because of the LDS culture and the way all of the outsiders are somewhat excluded with the general public. But here, goth kids mix with emos, we mix with vampires, the punks, the metalheads, and in all honesty, we don't much care for labels anyway, because that tends to separate us more. We've somewhat turned into an ambiguous crowd of darklings, and we respect one another and hang with each other, regardless of music, dress, and all that jazz. So with that being said, what is your gut reaction? I prefer it this way, as I feel as though this is a more organic approach, but I wonder if you feel like that's not the scene that you've grown to know and love. Anyway, my way isn't gospel, but I feel as though it may be somewhat of an antithesis of what you used to describe and whatnot, and I feel that it was pretty long-winded, and I hope it didn't come across as attacking. I just wanted to stimulate some thought and start a conversation. Of course it didn't come across as attacking. You put that little winky-eyed emoji there. No, that is absolutely not the scene that I have grown to know and to love. My perspective on my channel is just that, my perspective. It's based on my experiences, mine and mine alone. And what you have to understand is you are speaking to somebody from an entirely different scene on the other side of the country who is not myself. So of course their opinion is going to differ from my own. I'm sure your opinion differs from many other people's. So you say that the goths congregate with the emos, the vampires, and basically everyone else who wants to be part of the dark subculture, and that's completely fine. Now, something that I've always said coming up in the subculture since I was young is that there never was any separation, and we had a lot of people that congregated from entirely different scenes and people who didn't consider themselves part of a scene at all, but we all sort of come together, and there never was that separation. And we would go to house parties, and there would be people that, who were avid rap fans, but hanging out with the goths, hanging out with the punks, hanging out with people who were all about Bjork and even looked like Bjork. We had all these people coming up from these different scenes and different subcultures, and we all came together. However, in New York, when it comes to goth, it is fucking cut and dry. It has always been cut and dry. You are goth or you're not. Now that's something that's entirely different. So we take our music in New York very seriously. We always have, and that's one thing that has not changed, is how seriously that we take our music. And it doesn't mean that we're elitist, doesn't mean that we're pretentious in any way. It just means it's something that we happen to be very passionate about. The fact that you're not doesn't mean that you're posers. It just means that you have a different perspective on what's important to you in your scene. Now, you mentioned the in crowd. Now, this is what's important with the in crowd. What about the out crowd? Bethany Olson asked, do you still have your Etsy store where you make clothing? Your last DIY video made me think about that, and I love those shirts and leggings. They're fun to make. Wishing you all the best. My shop is currently down, and I don't know if I'm ever going to start doing that again, but I really do enjoy designing clothing. But if I do ever come back and design clothes, I don't know if I'm going to do things exactly the same as I had, because I have other ideas and other avenues I want to explore with it, but I don't see it as an impossibility for the future. Zachnifine Aconite asks, will you be making more vlogs such as thrifting, Halloween decor shopping, pagan shops, etc.? Somehow those tend to be my favorite variety of your videos, though they all possess your distinct charm to them. I do. I really want to do that more. The last few times that I brought my camera out, it wasn't fantastic. It does the job, but I'm really saving up for a better camera, and I want to be able to bring you better quality videos as opposed to the sort of amateur style ones that I've been. Kelsey B, asked, what are some of your favorite songs by KMFDM? I love old KMFDM. I love the older stuff like KMFDM Light, Juke Joint Jezebel, Drug Against War, that sort of thing. So any of the older stuff. Lashante727 asked, I'm a young woman, 27, who is just getting over the fact that my once beloved emo scene will never be like it used to. I've matured, as they say, and I'm currently dipping my toes into the pastel goth fashion because I can't let go of the pretty pinks and purples and I still love black. My question to you, as an experienced goth woman, are there any ways that I could blend the two together and still respect the scene? Mind you, being biracial doesn't help, I suppose. I don't want to be seen as a poser or the such, since there tends to be a lot of gatekeeping people in the goth culture, and I genuinely want to learn and evolve as a person. I wish to have the confidence you teach us to have in ourselves. I listen and quite enjoy a lot of the music that you post in your videos. Cool. So learning and embracing the music isn't a problem. I even quite enjoy a lot of your videos which involves the story times, lookbooks, and everything, so trying to learn properly. I wonder if I can mix the mixture of old 90s and 2000s emo. Can it be properly blended into goth without disrespecting it? A lot of these questions here are fashion videos. Okay, so as far as style is concerned, I really think that style is really down to the individual, and fashion is something that should always be explored, definitely. And there's nothing wrong with mixing pinks and purples and, along with black. I used to know goths that would wear like neon colors, but they were heavy in the goth scene. It happens to be down to your own preferences. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with sort of incorporating colors into that. If you're a little bit concerned about, dipping your toes in and you want to start light, you might want to maybe try with some accessories. It's strange. In your opinion, what would you consider goth wardrobe staples? Also, what are some tips for someone dealing with a bad breakup? As far as dealing with a bad breakup, listen to really, really angry music, because anger is far more productive than sadness. In your opinion, what would you consider goth wardrobe staples? Maxi dresses. I cannot say this enough. A black maxi dress is probably the best thing that you can have in your wardrobe. In the summertime, I have to try to switch it up, and I wear the same one constantly, and I end up washing it in my sink and then letting it air dry. But you could do so much with a maxi dress. You could dress it up with accessories, or you could dress it down and just sort of like wear it to go out and like throw a belt on, but it still looks really cool. But plain black maxi dresses are the ultimate staple, I think. The Shadow Society. Are you more of a day or night person? You'd expect me to say night, but I'm not. I'm more of a day person. I like daylight and sunshine. I don't know why. Oh wait, who asked me that? I'm sorry. Oh, I think I did say the Shadow Society. Oh crap, I'm pressing buttons. Stop pressing things. Oh shit, I just refreshed it. Duende has asked, number 1, is your husband ever going to properly appear in a video? Not a fucking hope. And I'm not saying that to be a bitch. There's no way in hell. I have been barking up that tree for 2 years. Number 2, you've moved a lot between the USA and the UK. Do you think you'll ever return to England to live? Would you ever choose to live somewhere other than those 2 places? I'm definitely not closed off to moving back to England. I love it there, and I finally found a city there that sort of felt like home to me. And I don't know what the future holds, but I'm definitely not closed off to moving to England. Ronnie, what is your favorite concert or event and memory since you joined the scene? Always like your videos, keep it up. Okay, Ronnie. The Bauhaus reunion tour, by far, holy crap, the most intense show I've ever been to. I posted a video about it, and there's even clips, I think. No, I posted a link to the video. A link to the video, to the actual show that I was at. It was in 1998, and it was absolutely incredible. But I'll post the link in the description here. It was so good. Samantha Donaldson asked, do you like Rose McGowan? And if so, are you inspired by her fashion or film roles? I will say that when I was younger, she was sort of an icon to us young goth girls when she was in the Doom generation, because we all wanted to look like her. We all ended up getting that same haircut, dressing like her, but she was sort of a goth icon back then. Lauren Betts asks, do you have any favorite video games, or have you had any paranormal experiences? That's random. Oh, or have you had any more? My favorite video game by far has always been Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. I love fighting games. Any more paranormal experiences? I have stories of things that happened in the past, which I'll probably do videos on, but none as of recent are coming to mind. So I guess that's good, right? The Nekomimi asked, what are the things that you do to cheer yourself up when you're feeling down? I play tug of war with my dog. I bake something because I love to bake, or I will watch Japanese cooking tutorials because I love Japan, and I love Japanese cuisine, and I'm always sort of calmed down by the culinary aesthetic and just the process involved. So it always tends to calm me down, because it's more along the lines of me needing calming down as opposed to cheering up, because I'm very anxious. Okay, Emily R said, since you say the goth scene now is missing the magic from when you were younger, what is your favorite way to goth out nowadays, and what kind of clubs or shows are the best to go to? Honestly, all of them. Go to all of them. As many of you as possible that can go to as many of these places is what's going to bring the magic. What's important is that we realize it's not the places that have the magic, it's us. We are the ones that have the magic, and we are the ones that make an event what it is. Because when we're having fun, that just creates this atmosphere. So if you're not going, of course these places aren't going to have the magic. It's us, not the places. If we don't show up, there is no magic. So go. Anywhere. Valuman asked, how do your close friends describe you or your personality? I'm always curious about how much the YouTube personality we as viewers are presented with differs from the day-to-day person who uploads content. I can be a little bit serious when it comes to my YouTube channel, because when I make videos, I'm always either telling stories, so I'm kind of coming to you based off of my memories, so I'm just sort of recalling things, or I'm like, okay, serious subject, and I get kind of passionate. But in reality, I am a practical jokester. I love pranking people. I have come up with a lot of really inventive ways to prank call people. You don't want to turn your back on me for 2 seconds, because I will find a way to jump scare the absolute shit out of you and record it. I'm sorry. If I care about you as a friend, it's what I do. But anybody that's close to me will probably tell you that I am a huge dork and a goofball in reality. Zanias has asked, what are your thoughts about elder goths and about people that are still goth but don't look like it? It's a lot of people that think that they don't belong in the subculture if they're not presentable after a few persons' demands. Myself as an older goth, going to be 50 in August. Happy early birthday. I should nowadays say my style is more comfy than extreme, but I love to dress up too. Just missing the older ones that left because they all think that they don't fit in to this type of lifestyle anymore. I will say that a lot of goths that I know nowadays are a lot of incognito goths. Like one of my good friends, Vanessa, she is a mom of 3, and she came over one day at random, and she was just sort of scrubbed out, but wearing a really old Frontline Assembly tour t-shirt. So a lot of my friends are goths, but they're undercover goths because they're, you know, they're grown up, they're parents, they're professionals now, and they can't really fit this full-time gothing out into that lifestyle. And that's okay. There's really nothing wrong with that. You don't have to look this way 24/7 to know who you are, to be able to listen to the music that you want to listen to and still identify as the person that you've always been. Xiao Zhang asked, or is that Xiao Zhang? I don't know if I'm pronouncing this properly. I'm sure you'll probably correct me. What are the best ways to get back into the goth scene when you've been out of it for about 10 years? Like a life where you're already married, you have kids, a normie job, but still long for the time past where you and your clique would just hang out at the local goth dive where the only way in was the alleyway entrance. Honestly, the best ways to get back in, break out your old CDs, think about your tried and true goth anthems and put them on. And I think that the rest of you will probably follow suit. Maddie asked, "Hey Angela, I was wondering if you were planning to do more DIY. Your videos are so helpful and easy to follow." Yes, I love doing DIY. I need to invest in better equipment in order to do that and have a little bit more space. And I think that once we either situate this apartment a little bit better or move to a bigger one, then it'll be much easier for me because I find it a little bit difficult to properly demonstrate the methods of DIY that I'm trying to show you. Like for example, even if I'm doing kitchen DIYs, you know, like cooking or something like that, or even the clothing, like for the top that I did recently, I had a really tough time trying to demonstrate how to do the weave. And I don't know, I definitely need, I've said this a couple times on this video, so I think I'm probably gonna like hit eBay or Amazon after this and have a good look around, but I could definitely use better equipment in order to better demonstrate. But that's not going to stop me from doing the DIY videos, but I would like to save the really good ones until I have better equipment. So I don't want to do them a disservice, really, is what I'm trying to say. Lita Fairy, what are your thoughts on the clothing brand Killstar? A little bit commercial, but they do have some cute things. Like some of the things can be a little bit campy and a little bit like, you know, prepackaged goth, but some of the other things, on the other hand, really nice. So it's really hit or miss. There's a dove outside the window. I don't know if you heard that. Coal Candy has asked, I guess you might have mentioned this somewhere, but have you been to any of the European goth festivals? Which ones and what do you think? I've never been. I want to go really bad. I have made plans and got screwed over on multiple occasions to go to Whitby Gothic Weekend when I was in England, and I do want to go to WGT at some point. I've been to Germany, but I've never been to WGT, but it's definitely something I really would love to go to. Key Williams has asked, what are your thoughts on goths such as Intranet Girl being treated as fakes? I don't know who that is. I will Google this later and get back to you, but I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I keep scrolling at this point. Mr. Twister, if you were expecting a baby, what names would you choose if it were a boy or a girl? Would you want to give your baby a Gothic themed name? So ever since I was a kid, I've always loved the name Winter. I hate winter because I hate snow. I hate being cold. I fall down on the ice all the time. I don't know how to walk. I mean, at the best of times, I fall down when I'm barefoot on carpet. So imagine me on ice and shoes. But I've always loved the name Winter for a girl. As far as a boy, I can't really think of anything on the top of my head. I don't know. Winter work for a boy too? Okay, it was Leah De Flores. I just lost your question. I kind of remember your question, but I accidentally clicked on your profile instead. See if I can find you. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to go from memory on what your question was. You wanted to know what my favorite fashion trend was in the 90s, and one of my favorite looks from the 90s were corsets and petticoats. And if you're unfamiliar with what a petticoat is, it's a really fluffy, sort of ruffled, layered underskirt that poofs out a regular skirt, but instead of wearing it under something, you just wore it as it was. So it would be like a regular sort of peasant top, under-bust corset with the petticoat, really short petticoat, and thigh-high stockings with garters. Loved that look. That was one of my favorite looks. Cheryl Nightshade asked, may seem oddly specific and off-topic, but were you still in school when the Columbine massacre took place? If so, did you or anyone you know get any sort of strange treatment afterward, maybe for being a freak or liking some of the same music that Eric Harris or Dylan Klebold did? Kim FDM and Nin. If you don't have much to say in regard to the question, what are your general thoughts on the matter? No, I wasn't in high school. I think it was just after high school. And after it happened, the goths in general, we got treated way differently. There were a lot of news outlets and media outlets at every goth stop in New York City, and they were constantly trying to catch glimpses of us whenever they were talking about the goth scene this, the goth scene that, because immediately there was a connection made after this massacre, and we were all tarred with the same brush. And they were all wanting to get glimpses of us going in and out of the goth clubs in the city. So they would go on Friday nights and Saturday nights and the weekends and just perch outside of these clubs and just filming and even doing interviews with the freakiest people that they could possibly find to try to, I guess, further their whole narrative that goths were evil and we wanted to sacrifice your babies and stuff like that. But we went from freaks to murderers and people that should be feared. And it was a little bit... It was weird. It was a weird time, I will say. It was definitely a weird time. Okay, so I'm going to call it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I've answered your questions thoroughly. And until next time, bye.